You know, I don't think that penguins and bats are natural enemies. So when I think of Penguin being one of the main adversaries of Batman, a lot of things run through my mind. Number one, why did they choose a penguin? Number two, why is he not called Penguin Man? Number three, is he technically classified as a little person? Small hands. Hey, my name is Mr. X. Welcome to the Extreme Channel. We are giving away $1,000 statues to you guys. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey everyone, today we are looking at Prime 1 Studio 1/3 scale penguin statue. One of the very few licensed penguins out on the market. Believe it or not, I've owned two other penguins. One is not licensed, it's this custom piece right here that I still own to this day. And I did, for a brief stint, own the licensed samurai penguin from XM Studio. Now the difference between those two is those were 1/4 scale, where this is 1/3, so it is bigger. Now after this was revealed, Sideshow Collectibles actually revealed a fantastic 1/4 scale penguin right here, which I think it's great, but I don't plan to pick up because I now have this one as well as that old custom. So I collect DC statues both in 1/3 scale and 1/4 scale. The 1/3 scale right here, what this is my favorite. Not necessarily the penguin, but the statue in general. I just got in a new Joker statue right here that you're actually going to see the review in a week or two, along with the accompanying punchline that goes with that. And then after that, this video right here is going to drop counting down the best 1/3 scale statues. Now Penguin won't be on it because I've already filmed it. But anyway, let's talk about Penguin Oswald. So Penguin is an adversary of the Batman. He is not entirely human. As you can see by looking at him, he controls penguins. And I don't know what else his power is. He's gross. In all transparency, I'm not a huge DC fan in the comics. 90% of my comic collection is actually with Marvel. And growing up, I was more of a Marvel guy. But I love some of the characters from the DC world, specifically the Batman world. And I thought he would look great with the rest of those 1/3 scale statues. So anyway, I picked him up from Prime 1 Studio direct. We're going to talk more about that later. But let's review this statue, see how good or bad it may or may not be. So this is a conceptual piece based off the comics, but also based off the mind of Fabok. Jason Fabok, I believe his first name is, and he's done a number of pieces for Prime 1 Studio. Not only does he kill it conceptually, but I also think that they kill it when they execute the product. So on the base here, you assume this is somewhere in Gotham, maybe a city park, something like that. You get a lot of feeling that it reminds you of one of those Central Park areas. However, there are a few pipes on the back, and there is snow covering in this because, you know what, penguins like snow. He's a winter guy. I always go back to Batman Returns, unfortunately, where I think Danny DeVito did a great job as Penguin. I'm just not a huge fan of the film, although it is entertaining. Then on top of that, you have penguin shit everywhere. So that includes penguins, actual penguins. You have money that he stole or laundered or whatever his evil schemes were that he did it. And one thing about Penguin, very similar to Joker actually, he's always dressed to the nines. Super shiny shoes. He has this winter coat that part of it is actually mixed media. We'll talk more about that later. It's kind of flowing. There's a little bit of movement to this statue, which I really like. You move up, you see his vest and his bow tie. He's holding his trademark umbrella in one hand, and there are some different switch out options we're going to look at. And a badass vulture in the other hand. And he also has one of those bird gloves too to kind of go with it, which I think takes away a little bit. I think he's evil enough and badass enough, which you see in his portrait, where he could just hold the vulture on his hand. I don't think it's a negative thing. It's actually kind of a cool Easter egg. But, so cool concept for Penguin. It's a museum pose, museum statue. It's going to fit great with the rest of the 1/3 scale pieces. There's a few design things I question we'll look at, but I think for concept, it's a solid 4 out of 5. This is exactly what I want. They made it not so boring by adding some of the stuff to the base. Now, one thing that's really cool about this is actually a companion piece. So this is meant to go with this Batman statue right here. Now, as you're looking at this Batman statue, how does it go with it? It actually goes behind the penguin. Check it out right here. Now, I didn't buy this simply for the fact I have a couple other Batman statues I really like, although that one looks really good. And just like you're going to see in the Joker and Punchline reviews, so that Joker Throne and Punchline has a similar setup that you'll see, it makes it really, really deep because this is already a big size. So let's talk about that with the design. You know, Penguin's a shorter character, so I figured this would be a smaller statue. It's not. And not just how wide it is, which is over 22 inches. The deepest part of the base is probably about 14.5. And then depending how you display him, so the vulture is optional, that's about 22 inches. The umbrella goes up to 25 inches. And Penguin himself is right at 21 inches. For exact dimensions, check out Time One Studios' website. I keep saying depending how you display him, that's because there are a lot of switch out options. We'll look at those after the quick unboxing and assembly. One box, but it was over 70 pounds for this statue in the packaging. That's a lot. Standard white styrofoam you see with Prime One Studio. It actually had 2 layers to it. Here is the first layer. I was surprised at how many different pieces there are. And I was equally as surprised at how large the base was and how much they weighed. All right, so many different display options with this guy. First of all, they gave 4 portraits. Yes, 4. So the first one you've been looking at, this one, he doesn't have his hat on. His hair is all over the place. He's very creature-esque in this. So then you have 3 other portraits. First right here, you have Penguin with a kind of a more humanistic feel to him. He has a monocle in his eye, which I just broke off. You'll see later as I'm filming it right now with a top hat. Very similar where the monocle's on the other eye and his nose is super long and kind of more of a fierce face, I would say. With a spot to put his trademark cigarette in, although I think it would burn his coat, so that's a little bit of a miss for me. And then the last one's kind of a strange one. So not only does he have a glass bottle as his monocle, which I think this is comic based, he almost has a voice changer as well, and more of a humanistic take on this without the top hat. Very cool varieties on all those portraits for sure. But there are also switch out options for the arm, the umbrella, the vulture. So first, you can have his arms where he's holding his umbrella like a gun. Now this is really important because there are 3 different tips for the umbrella. One is kind of a normal tip. Then one is a gun, kind of cool. And the last one is a knife. Now, even with the umbrella open, which we're going to look at it in a second, you can display whatever tip you want on the top as well. So if you switch out the arms, on the right arm, the umbrella, it's holding the umbrella up, as you can see. And technically, you could do it still closed if you wanted to. I don't have a picture of that. The left arm, you can have him kind of holding his hand out where I think this was meant for him to be aiming the umbrella, but it still looks okay. One where he has an antique watch. And then the one where he is holding the vulture. Also, along with display options, everything back here other than the penguins, you can place wherever you want. Most of them have felt pads on the bottom so they won't scratch the actual base, but you can lay out the money and the bags. The coins are static, however. They are already pressed into the base. So lots of different display options, and the problem with that is, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but the problem is they all look pretty good. I don't know which one to display. Usually I like to put the extra parts back in the box because I rarely switch things out. I don't know what I'm going to do here. I need to figure it out. You know, why don't you throw down in the comments below which display is the best? Throw that down in the comments below. I'd love to read your guys' opinions. Might give me an idea, plus you could win a statue with that comment. As we try to grow this channel, we like to reward you guys for watching and subscribing. So because of that, every 5,000 milestone when it comes to subscribers, we give away a couple $1,000s worth of statues. We've actually given away over 20 statues. To win one was easy. First, you gotta be subscribed to the channel. You'll get bell notifications when videos drop. Each video that drops, you wanna make a comment on those videos. We pick a random video, we give away statues based on a comment. You can say whatever you want. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. So really quick, I picked this up and I pressed on the chain for the monocle or the eyeglass here, and it instantly broke. Here's a picture. So I was going to give the design a 5 out of 5, And I know this is my fault, but it shouldn't break that easy. I barely touched it. So I think it's a 4 out of 5 overall on design. And I also say that because this is a heavy, heavy sumbitch statue like we talked about. The box itself was 70 pounds, which blew my mind. And this is incredibly heavy as well. I think it's completely filled with polystone. Now we're going to look at the paint and sculpt. It's really good. Penguin himself and the base are the shining stars. The penguins, the actual animals, and the vulture aren't as good, but they're still decent. Here, take a look. I want to start off with the portraits because they are so good. I love the skin tone on the more humanistic ones. And granted, this one, he has that huge long nose, but even look how good the cigarette is. I wish I would have made the ashes on the end burning a little bit. But like we talked about, that would interfere with the mixed media there. But I think this looks great. I like the expression. I like the curvature. I like the overemphasized eyebrows, the top hat. Very, I don't want to say professional by any means. They did a great job on the mouth here and the eye, even though it looks like a decal. So there's one portrait. Make sure I don't break anything again. And here is a little bit more chubbier guy. The bigger monocle. I like the darkness around the eyes. Look at that skin, though. I think not only is the sculpt, but the paint looks fantastic. Looks like a real character. And then this portrait here is actually the Fabok exclusive. So from his mind. Said they almost made him like a human version, but super ghetto. The bottle in his eye looks like a real bottle. And then that voice box, I assume that's what that is. He smoked too much, I guess. But it looks great, even though I probably won't display this because to me this isn't Penguin. This is Penguin. And not only, like I said, due to the Danny DeVito tiebacks, but I love the glisten in the mouth, those razor sharp teeth. Hair could have been a little bit better, but not really a main focal point. It's kind of blobbed together. But the umbrella is mixed media, so it's like a real mini umbrella. So functionality, if you keep opening and closing it, you could have problems over the years. Then this right here is actual mixed media. So it's soft to the touch, very soft to the touch. And again, you might have some dust and dirt problems over the years, but for now it looks fantastic. The rest of the statue is fully sculpted. I think they could have done better on the vulture. Looks a little toyish, looks a little more amateur, where there's a lot of sense of realism to the statue. And I think that's both in the paint and the sculpt, not only on the feathers on the body, which feathers are very hard to do, but also on the neck and face of the vulture. And really quick, I'm going to jump to the penguins themselves. Same thing. I think they're better than the vulture because they have the shorter feathers, so it's easier to blend in the paint. But very cartoonish. And you do have a little bit of aspect of cartoonish to this character because he is a comic book character. They did a great job with the mixed media cash. Looks like real cash. I'm glad they went fully sculpted for that. The coins are awesome. The whole base itself is great. I love the snow. I love the ice glistening effect everywhere. I like the stones. The base is really fantastic. I know I'm having trouble getting good focus for you guys. The lighting on it, that glistening really adjusts the lighting each time. But I really like the base. Some intricate artwork here. And Penguin himself is done really well. Look at the stitching in his shoes. The metallic toes. The way his suit is folding really gives it that flow and movement that you see on the coat as well, which looks like real leather, but it's fully sculpted. Just really impressive piece. It's rare they do really good with these 1/3 scale DC pieces. There's so many different facets to this statue. My camera keeps wanting to focus on something else. But really nice job. For sculpt, the only thing I'd like to see improve, like we talked about, would be some of the vulture, probably the feathers and the head. But I think it's a strong 5 out of 5 overall. It doesn't mean it's perfect. It means it's really good. Paint, equally impressive again. I would downgrade the penguins and the vulture to a 3 or 4, but I think Penguin himself, the character, and then the base are a 5 out of 5. All right, so is he worth it or not? Well, he's the only 1/3 scale penguin that I know of, so immediately he gets points for that. However, I think he was really overpriced, so he's $1,450 for the deluxe bonus version, which include some extra stuff. So they made 350 of these just like that. There's 50 that only have this portrait right here, and you don't get the vulture. So one head as opposed to 4, and you don't get the vulture. So they made 50 of those. Those were 250 cheaper. So you're paying 250 for the vulture hand and then 3 extra portraits. Like $50 a piece. I see that. I think that's not bad. But I think the overall price tag at $14.50 is too high. Yes, total of $400 if you include both. That's too expensive. This is a 1/3 scale statue. Yes, there's a lot going on. But, like I said, the problem is that not only is this the only 1/3 scale statue of Penguin, it's done really well and it's sold out. Because not only is it a great standalone piece like I have it, but if you want that Batman, it goes great with that Batman. So I think the value is a 4 out of 5. I think if I tried to sell this today for a profit, which I'm not going to, I could make a profit, despite the original high price tag. Does he have the X factor? Is he a 5 out of 5 statue? You know, I'm impressed how quickly they got this out. I remember when they revealed it in the Prime 1 showcase, and I'm really trying to cut back on new purchases or new pre-orders, but I pulled the trigger on this one, and I'm so glad I did. I think this is 5 out of 5. This is everything I want out of a Penguin statue, other than that monocle breaking. That's really bothering me right now. But I think this is 5 out of 5 for sure. What do you guys think? Is it awesome, or am I just saying that because it's my only option? Hey, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you like stuff like this, hit the subscribe button. If you don't like stuff like this, but you're still watching, please hit the like. It's a huge help to me, and I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.